What's up, everybody? Stephen A. Smith here. Recently, we made news because the great Bill O'Reilly announced a tour that's coming nearest you in the very, very near future. Get your tickets now for this. It's called Three Americans, live March 30th at Live Nation's Flag Star at the Westbury Music Fair on Long Island. Don't miss the very first show. It's myself, Chris Cuomo, and yes, that man, Bill O'Reilly. Take our different ideas, our different backgrounds, our different beliefs across the country to demonstrate that respectful, meaningful, and even fun conversation. Those are the things that make America as great as it should be. The show will be spirited, unscripted, and all three of us will let it fly as we discuss the topics everyone is thinking about these days. There'll also be questions from the audience. We're not running. Tickets are officially on sale now with pre-sale code USA at 3americanslive.com. VIP packages are available with the opportunity to meet and take photos with myself and both those fellas. That's Three Americans, live March 30th at the Westbury Music Fair on Long Island. Additional dates and cities to be announced. Don't miss it. Trust me, you'll get a kick out of it. What in the hell does Steve Bannon, Jonathan Majors, and the Breakfast Club have in common? All will be on the Stephen A. Smith Show right now. I'm pretty pissed off. I'm not pissed off about the conversation I'm about to have with Jonathan Majors. I'm looking forward to that. But I'm pretty pissed off. And I'm not going to mince words today. I'm going to try to keep it kosher. I'm going to try to keep it nice. But there's certain things I just don't like. And I'm not going to hold back. Welcome to this latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. Thanks again to all the subscribers and followers supporting the show. Really, really appreciate it. But I'm so pissed off today, I don't even give a damn about telling you about my New York Times bestselling book. I don't care about telling you about my subscribers right now. Because of this dude, Steve Bannon, all you right-wingers out there, you done pissed me off. You see, this is the BS that I'm talking about here, right? Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention. Because at least some of y'all, especially on the fringes, you full of You full of it. And I'm not going to let this thing go unspoken. It ain't right. So we going to call y'all out. I want to hear that liberal nonsense. You ain't listening to a liberal right now. I don't give a damn what you think. Just because I vote for liberals 90% of the time with the presidency, that don't mean I do it with everything else. But under these circumstances, with the kind of stuff that I'm hearing right now, I don't think anybody should vote for a Republican if this stuff slides. Now, what the hell am I talking about? Let me tell you right now, as we get started with the show today with politics. Jonathan Majors, I'm coming to you, bro. I'm coming to you. But I got to get this off my chest first. We're going to start with some politics and some headlines made by Mr. Steve Bannon himself. Remember, former chief strategist for President Donald Trump, Mr. Breitbart News himself? That's Steve Bannon. Well, guess what, y'all? He appeared on Chris Cuomo's show on News Nation on Tuesday night and said in no uncertain terms that he plans to support a push for a third term for President Donald Trump. Take a listen, please.
I'm a firm believer that President Trump will run and win again in 2028. So I've already endorsed President Trump. A man like this comes along once every century if we're lucky. We've got him now. He's on fire, and I'm a huge supporter. Want to see him again in 2028.
You know he's term limited. How do you think he gets another term?
We're working on it. I think we'll have a couple of alternatives. Let's say that. We'll see. We'll see what the definition. We'll see what the definition of term. We'll see what the definition of term limit is.
What the hell are you smiling about, Steve Bannon? That's BS. That's BS. Seriously, somebody needs to tell you. You got that wicked ass smile on your face. So is that funny to circumvent the Constitution? Is that funny to alter and circumvent the 22nd Amendment? I thought you were conservative. I thought it was about the Constitution. Okay? If anybody was against the Constitution or should be against the Constitution, it should be black people. Remember the Constitution had us as 3/5 of a man? Remember that? If anybody should want to go against the Constitution, it should be us. What the hell are you doing talking about it for? This is unbelievable. The hypocrisy of some of y'all, it makes no sense whatsoever. You don't have a right to talk about the left when you spewing that BS right there. That's straight BS. That's straight BS. Before I go further though, let me dial it back just a second, because as I get into my diatribe over that bull that came out of his mouth on national television last night, I came on the show in the immediate aftermath of his appearance with Chris Cuomo. It was me and Bill O'Reilly together. And I took issue with Bill O'Reilly too. And rather than tell you why, I'm gonna show you why. Play this clip of Bill O'Reilly talking, please, and then followed up with me. Play that on News Nation with Chris Cuomo, please.
Okay, so that's a fantasy, and I don't really consider those kinds of things. It's not going to happen, never will happen. It's not worth my time or your time. Donald Trump will serve out his second term. Hopefully he'll be successful, and then J.D. Vance will run for president in 28 unless something happens.
Respectfully, Bill O'Reilly, it doesn't matter whether it's not going to happen. It matters that people on the right who preached for decades upon decades about following the Constitution suddenly come on national television and say there's nothing wrong with circumventing it. That's the issue. The 22nd Amendment says it, okay? It explicitly states in the Constitution that for the presidency, there will be a 2-term limit. No person shall serve more than 2 terms. They know this. Now, these are the same people that spent decades upon decades telling us the Constitution, the Constitution, the Constitution. We're going to follow the Constitution. But now that they've got a guy in office that they swear by, suddenly the rules don't apply.
Amen. And it's less than 24 hours later or more than 12 hours later, and I stand by that statement. Suddenly you don't give a damn. You see, this is why y'all are full of it. And I'm not talking about the right or the left. I'm talking about pundits. I'm talking about politicians. I'm talking about anyone entrenched within the fabric of our political apparatus that exists today. You know why? Because you don't care about politics. You don't care about governing. What you care about is getting what the hell you want. Come hell or high water. Which would be fun if you didn't accuse and denigrate the other side for doing the shit that you're doing. That's what you did, Steve Bannon. That's what you did. Now, let me tell you something right now. I got a team here. Got producers, researchers, all of that other stuff. One of my producers made sure to send to me, don't forget this man pled guilty in the border wall fraud case, okay? Steve Bannon pleaded guilty this past Tuesday to defrauding donors to a private effort to build a wall on the U.S. southern border, ending the case the conservative strategist decried as a, quote, political persecution. Spared from jail as a part of the plea deal, he left court saying he felt like $1 million. Remember that, Steve Bannon? Because I got more, okay? Let me just say this, because let me let everybody know who the hell I'm talking to, all right? I'm talking to a man who was the chief executive in August of 2016. You were appointed chief executive of Trump's presidential campaign. You refocused the campaign strategy. I'm taking on, these are my own notes, by the way, okay? You refocused the campaign strategy, emphasizing themes of economic nationalism and anti-establishment rhetoric, which played a pivotal role, obviously, in Trump's electoral success. You were the White House chief strategist following the 2016 election. You served as the chief strategist and senior counsel to the president. In your role, you were instrumental in shaping early policies, including controversial travel ban targeting several predominantly Muslim countries. Let's not forget that. Promotion of your populist policies. Let's not forget that. You advocated for withdrawing from international agreements like the Paris Climate Accord and promoted a more isolationist foreign policy, aligning with Trump's America First agenda. No crime there. Here's where the crime supposedly kicked in, Steve Bannon. Arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering in connection with the We Build the Wall fundraising campaign. Prosecutors allege that you and your associates misused funds raised for constructing a U.S.-Mexico border wall, diverting them from personal expenses. You pled not guilty to those charges. In the final hours of the presidency, however, Trump issued a pardon for you. effectively dismissing the federal charges related to the We Build the Wall campaign. However, presidential pardons apply only to federal offenses and do not protect against state-level prosecutions. Consequently, in September of 2022, you face state charges in New York for involvement in the same fundraising scheme. In February of this year, last month, you pled guilty to 1 count of fraud and received a 3-year conditional discharge, avoiding additional prison time. Okay? Regarding your contempt of Congress charges, these stemmed from your refusal to comply with subpoena issued by the House Committee investigating January 6, 2021. Capitol attack, the Capitol attack, the riots, the insurrection. That's what it was, okay? You were convicted on 2 counts of contempt in July 2022. You were sentenced to 4 months in prison in October 2022. You began serving that sentence on July 1st, 2024. You were released on October 29th of last year. Basically, that's it. And by the way, you admitted to the $15 million We Build the Wall case. You know, the $15 million in fraud. Why do I bring all of that up? Because it's necessary, Steve Bannon. I, for one, am not interested in nonviolent people spending time in jail. I'm not wishing you were in jail. I'm not calling you a racist or any other derogatory names. I'm just saying that what you said on national TV on a Chris Cuomo show, that was BS. What the hell is wrong with you Republicans? What is this fixation, this cult-like allure and addiction to Donald Trump? J.D. Vance is his vice president, clearly capable of running for the presidency in 2028. Marco Rubio is nothing to sneeze at as our Secretary of State. He's more than qualified and will be more than qualified to run for the presidency of the United States of America. Ron DeSantis is the governor in Florida. He's another person. Nikki Haley is another person. There's plenty of people to run for the presidency for the right. This addiction, this fixation on Trump has reached to such a degree that you, as a right-winger who lives on the Constitution like so many others on the right, suddenly gonna open your mouth and say, we're working on it? We're working on circumventing our way around the 22nd Amendment in the United States Constitution? That's what we're doing now? It explicitly states, no president shall serve more than 2 terms. Explicitly. We're working on it? We're working on it? That's what we're doing? That's what we're doing. I have never been okay with people bringing up authoritarian figures and some of their heinous histories. The Stalins, the Mussolinis, the Hitlers of the world, and others. And I'm certainly not going to do that with Trump now, no matter how much the left spews it. I think irresponsibly, I might add. But Steve Bannon, you did nothing to help dissuade or diminish or quiet those assertions, those venomous assertions towards Donald Trump when you talk about facilitating a movement and sparking a movement and working on a movement that's going to get him to get a 3rd term. It's wrong. Now you want to bring up FDR? You want to bring up what happened with him and how the aftermath of him only then was the 22nd Amendment put into place with you explicitly being limited to 2 terms as a president? So what you're saying is you want to go way back in time, huh? You want to go way back in time. How far back, Steve Bannon? What you trying to say? I mean, I'm just asking. Educate me. I'm all ears. What are you trying to say that you want in this country? Want black folks gone? Or at least drastically diminished? You want Latinos to go back from whence they came? That what you want? You want women subjugated to lesser roles? What you trying to say? Because if you're going to get away with that, what's to stop you with everything else? We know you contributed to Project 2025. What you trying to say? What are you trying to say? And see, this is what I get pissed off about. See, to be very, very clear, this is why I have no love for the Democrats. No love. because you knew cats like him was lurking. And what do you do from a strategy perspective? Let me have open borders. Let me support that because that'll buffer our voting bloc. Let me act like a man that's about to turn 82 can give us 4 more years when you knew he was declining. Let me talk about how the economy is great when you knew inflation was going to ravage us. Let me not prioritize looking strong globally because we got stuff at home here that we want to facilitate. It wasn't a winning strategy. Even now on the left, one of the most popular figures is AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You know what the problem with her is? She'll never get a majority vote because she doesn't galvanize. As fiery and feisty and knowledgeable and articulate as she is, she doesn't galvanize. She polarizes. We have no one in the Democratic Party that galvanizes. That's a voice that resonates. I'm not talking about governors like Josh Shapiro and Westmore. I'm rooting for guys like them. I'm talking about national figures in the House of Congress or in the Senate. We got Chuck Schumer on The View getting called to the carpet, treated like a punk instead of a senator. Damn near helpless to do anything about it. Why? Because the world that we know it is disintegrating before our very eyes because your sorry asses on the left prioritized the wrong thing that didn't mean a damn thing to the rest of us. You forgot about black people. You took us for granted. You forgot about Latinos. You took them in the country for granted. It wasn't enough for the people that were here. You opened the borders. And you got somebody like Steve Bannon being in a position where he can go on national television with a straight face, smiling and cheesing like he taking photos at a red carpet event instead of being on a news program like News Nation talking about circumventing the damn Constitution. Just so Trump can get a 3rd term. Where the Republicans at? Where y'all at? Y'all gonna go for this? I thought y'all were about the Constitution. My man Sean Hannity, what's up? What's up? You cool with them saying that? I don't care what Bill O'Reilly said about, oh, it's not going to happen. That's not the point. The point is, most of the American people don't know whether it's going to happen or not, and it scares the living hell out of them. And y'all don't mind the stress that you cause them in the midterm while rhetoric like this is allowed to disseminate to the masses. Excuse my language. That's up. That ain't right. And Steve Bannon, if the president is so big time and he's all of this and that, as the pastor has said, many pastors have said on many occasions, there's no success without a successor. How come y'all can't find a successor, Steve Bannon? Hell, the only person ahead of you in some of the polls on the right is J.D. Vance. Why don't you run then? Why don't you run? What's wrong with Rubio? What's wrong with Vance? What's wrong with Christie? What's wrong with DeSantis? What's wrong with Haley? What the hell's going on with you and Trump and some of y'all and Trump that y'all, I mean, this man passed gas, y'all call it perfume. He spits in somebody's face, y'all say it's raining. Where's your heart? Where's your guts? You can't stand up to him? You can't sit up there and say, yo, cultivate a successor, breed one, make sure there's somebody next in line? You can't do that? You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're not serving this country. You're serving him. You ain't serving God, you're serving him. Is it because there's something personally invested in it for you? I'm just wondering. Steve Bannon is a highly, highly intelligent man. He is not a dummy. He knows what the hell he's talking about. He's forgotten more politics and policy than I know at this particular moment in time. But the more I know, the more trouble people in. You're not only doing stuff in this country that's rolling back progress made via civil rights legislation and beyond since the 1960s. Now you trying to get a dude a third term? Really? You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. Coming up, this beef on the Breakfast Club and the host on the show handle the situation like men and women. I'll get into that straight ahead. But first, 3 years ago, Jonathan Majors was a major box office star. Then he was convicted of misdemeanor assault and harassment of an ex-girlfriend. His career took a major hit, and now he's back with a new film called Magazine Dreams. I'll talk to him about that and his life. Now, next on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Don't go away. Okay, folks, I need you all to stop what you're doing and listen up. You know I love this time of year, right? College basketball is heating up, and with all this action jumping off, the Stephen A. Smith Show wants to make sure you take advantage of it all. That's why we've partnered with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is easy to use. Just pick more or less on a few player stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your cash on a single lineup. Check out the free pick Prize Picks dropped this week. Auburn star Janai Brooms' point projection is 99% off and will cash with a single point scored. Don't forget to lock it in for your college basketball lineup. Best of all, Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 just for playing. Use promo code SAS and download the app now. Again, download the app and use code SAS to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, hey, run your game. Today, I'll give you my picks for some college basketball matchups on Thursday, March 20th. So let's get right to it. First up, Auburn takes on Alabama State. Will Auburn's Janai Broom score more or less than 0.5 points? More, please. Stop the nonsense, okay? Is he going to get hurt during the jump ball? That's the only way he ain't scoring more than 0.5 points, okay? Let's move on. Next, St. John's University faces Omaha. Will St. John's Kadari Richmond score more or less than 16 points? I'm going with more. The brother can play. And not only that, you ain't got too many scoring options if you're the St. John's Red Storm. Them brothers can defend. They're athletes. They get all up in your jock strap. They do all of that. But in the end, they're not real shooters, all right? They rely on that brother to do it for them. He's going to score more than 16 points. Next, Tennessee versus Wofford. Will Tennessee's Chaz Lanier score more or less than 17.5 points? I'm going one more with him as well. Lanier can ball. He's somebody that the Vols are going to depend on, okay? They're a damn good team. They just wasn't Florida. But against anybody else, they could do some damage. I'm going to go with 17.5 points. More than that with this brother Lanier right now. And finally, Kansas plays Arkansas. Will Hunter Dickinson of Kansas score more or less than 19.5 points? I'm going to go with less. I think this is going to be a good matchup. Arkansas could have looked better. Calipari's first year, I get all of that. Kansas is Bill Self. We know what they bring to the table, but he's usually got a bevy of weapons. You got guys that are big-time players scoring 16 and 17 points for Bill Self because there's so much wealth to be spread around. So I'm going to go with less on this one. He's going to have a good game. He's just not going to need to score more than 19.5 points to pull it off, all right? So there you have it. More for Janai Broom, more for Kadari Richmond, more for Chaz Lanier, and less for Hunter Dickinson. Those are my picks for Prize Picks. This is the NCAA, y'all. This is March. This is the madness of March. This is the NCAA tournament. It's the best time of the year. I can't wait to do more of these. Stick around, Prize Picks. That's where it's at.
Come on! Hey guys, Killian Maddox is here. Current eyepiece. No! There's 4 S's to bodybuilding: size, striation, symmetry, and strength. Strength is usually not something they can test right away, but it can be inferred. Front, lat strength. 2016 Grand Prix, Dayton, Ohio. Judge told me my deltoids were too small. These are your deltoids. Here. There's three parts to it. There's the front deltoid, the front of the deltoid, the side deltoid, and your rear deltoid. When someone hears that your deltoids are small, they're essentially saying 3 muscle groups are small, which is quite insulting. Also, you'll see the best way to demonstrate the front deltoid is probably side chest. Back, and then hey guys, Jillian Maddox here. Current NPC competitor, future IFBB Pro Champion.
There he is. My next guest is an Emmy-nominated actor known for the hit films Creed 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and The Harder They Fall. His new film is called Magazine Dreams. Please welcome one of the best actors in the business right now, the one and only Jonathan Majors, here with yours truly. What's going on, Jonathan? How are you, man? How's everything?
Everything's good, brother. How you feeling?
I'm doing all right. Before I get into the movie, got a lot of stuff to get into because I can't wait to talk to you about this movie. What is this I'm hearing? There's some news about you. You're a married man now. You just got married. Is that true?
This happened yesterday morning, orchestrated by my mother, who married us in our backyard, man. Yeah.
Well, listen, congratulations on that to the wonderful Megan Good. Everybody loves Megan Good. There's no question about that. Major props to her. She's a sensational actress in her own right. And so I'm really happy for the both of you. Talk to me about why now was the right time for the nuptials in your estimation.
We had been putting it off. And when we saw that the film was coming to life and my mother was coming out and my mother's birthday was the same day as the premiere, and we called her, she knew, she came from Texas, and it was just the perfect time. There she is. Yeah, it was just the perfect time. And we had the whole family on the FaceTime, and that was that. So yeah, I love that woman to death. And she's my best friend, and it was time, you know. So, and we had scheduled it, so we just kept to the schedule.
You know, it's an odd question, but I think it's an appropriate question because, you know, as a man, you think about what makes a woman special. It's not just the beauty on the outside; it's the beauty on the inside. And
Yes,
obviously, you know that we're going to ask you about what you've endured over the last year. But before we even get into that, how much did that play a role in you ultimately getting married to her, considering the fact that she has been by your side seemingly every second of the ordeal that you've had to endure over the last year plus or so?
Person once said to me that your partner, you know, you wanna see him and be with him through all the seasons, up, down, hot, cold, yeah, fall, spring, winter, etc. You know, but all the seasons of your life, you know, things that you're experiencing. And Megan and I did that. You know, she came into my life at a time when everyone was running away. And I very clearly said to her, right at the beginning, this is going to be very real. And I don't know how long it's going to last. And at that point, we were very close friends, but we already kind of got into a place where like, I had feelings for her and she had feelings for me. And all I was saying was, you know, you can go now. You know, like, this is going to be tough and you don't need to be dragged into anything. And very much how we're talking now. She looked me right in the face. I had FaceTime and said, I'm not going anywhere. And literally the next day, she was on a plane from Vancouver to New York City, where I am now. And that was a wrap. You know, a woman that can love you when you're broken, completely broken. You know, she saw the potential. She saw something in me, and she helped put me back together and made me a better man. And she inspires me to be a better man. And we balanced each other out. She's my road dog. She's my best friend. Now she's my wife.
When you talk about being broken, obviously everybody's going to think about December of 2023. That's when the New York jury convicted you of 1 count of misdemeanor third-degree assault and 1 count of second-degree harassment of your then ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. You avoided jail time, but were ordered to do a 52-week in-person batterers intervention program. Talk to me about that case, that situation, but most importantly, tell me how the last year has been for you in light of having to endure that and to be found guilty.
Well, the trial and the case and that situation, I mean, that's at this point it's common knowledge. You know, the viewers can go online. I can't speak to that anyway, you know, but the verdict is also common knowledge. And you know, in that moment, I mean, it was heart-wrenching in many ways. You know, there was so much shame and confusion and was just lost in a way, you know, lost to myself in a way. But I knew when I looked around, right, and we start the journey, you know, the year and so after, the realization and confronting all of that pushed me and allowed me to really orient myself to myself and find a way back to myself, you know. And so the growth, it's been, I got a tattoo on my neck now that says rebirth. And I think I got that, you know, I definitely got it. I got it after the trial, you know, living in the apartment that I was, you know, during the trial, you know, and that became my mission. And Megan was there for that. And I feel like I have an all-star team of support around me, you know, between Megan, you mentioned the sessions, the 52 sessions. Those things are incredible. I love them. I intend on staying with it, you know, even when this is done. My personal therapist, my pastor, my family, I began to really try to utilize them and ask them, you know, for help in many ways, because the 2 years of that saga, you know, of the struggle was extremely confronting. And I got to really witness parts of myself that I didn't like. I didn't want to keep moving in that way. You know, I didn't want to keep feeling like that, you know. And I'm an athlete, you know, and I'm an actor. And one thing I did learn in those things where I feel I'm okay is I was built as an actor. There's a group of people that helped me become an actor. You know, I went to my programs, I went to my schools, I went to my summer camps, I did all that, and became an actor that you know, I'm proud of being. Same thing with my fitness and my body. I have a huge amount of people that I ask questions, how to lift this, how to do that. What I didn't have was that type of system, those types of coaches and friends for myself, for me. You know, when you're not in the gym, when you're not on set, I didn't have that, you know. And so those two things far surpassed and far outran, you know, my inner self, you know. And so now I had to, and what I've been doing, what I will continue to do for the rest of my life is stay in the self gym, stay in the mental wellness gym, stay in the what can I do to be a better man.
You were stating that immediately once the court case had ended, and obviously you had to endure what you had to endure, and then you're moving on, and this movie's about to come out, and then all of a sudden some recent audio tape was released of you admitting to choking your ex-girlfriend, and so now that's in the news. Weird timing, I might add, that's in the news the week this movie is coming out. But I want to know what you have to say about all of that, and do you believe in any way that has derailed the momentum that you were building leading into the premiere of this movie?
I think it's all God's plan, you know. Something in the past few years that I've kind of realized is there's no control. You know, we're all in here trying to figure that out ourselves. You know, I can only take care of myself and control myself. You know, a great example of that is we planned on getting married, you know, March 18th, day after my mother's birthday. That's what we planned on doing. And if we would have let something like that derail us from that, I wouldn't be married to the woman of my dreams. You know, I've got to keep my path and keep things forward. You know, is the timing? I mean, the timing's the timing. You know, I can't say anything about that, but I see it. You know, the derailment of the film. Who knows? You know, at this point, the film has a life of its own. Yes, I'm an integral part of it, but it has a life of its own. You know, and I hope people will come and see it. I stand by it. I think it's probably one of the most beautiful films I've had the opportunity to be a part of. It's definitely surrounded by some of the most creative and heartwarming people. You know, like everyone's pushing to get this thing made and to get it out. So if it derailed it or not, we'll see. If it derailed it, we can always get it back on track. And if it didn't derail it, you know, glory to God.
What is it about this film, Magazine Dreams, that everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, let me focus on you. What is it about this movie that you want people to peel from it in terms of how it represents you, whether it be physically, mentally, or whatever? How do you want people to see you based on this film?
As the film's concerned and seeing me, you know, I've dedicated a great deal of my life and my energy and my time to my craft of acting, to the craft of acting. And this film challenged that to the nth degree, you know, and I poured everything I could into it. Where Killian and I, you know, the character, the protagonist of the film, where Killian Maddox and I kind of align, is that there's a sense of not giving up. You know, this man refuses to give up. He has a dream. He has a goal for himself that he's trying to achieve. Now, my dream and my goal for myself, you know, to be honest with you, brother, it goes from, I mean, my hierarchy is quite simple: God, family, art. But I can't give up. You know, Killian Maddox doesn't give up. You know, there's nothing about him. There's no quit in him. And I've had my hurt, I've had my pain, I've had my trials and tribulations, and I'm still hurting, but I'm still healing. And that is an aspect that Killian really, really, really leans into. And he himself deals with his trauma and pushes through. And in this time, even talking to you, you know, big bro, I'm dealing with mine, you know, and I have hope, like Killian has hope, that I can achieve my dream, you know, as an actor, but chiefly as a man, you know, as a man of God, and now as a husband and a father, as I've been for the past, you know, almost 12 years now. So that's where we agree, Killian and I.
Just to, you know, educate our audience, all right? This film, it premiered to critical acclaim at the Sundance Film Festival. It's been called an Oscar-worthy performance by you, who plays the character Killian Maddox, obviously. And one of the things everybody is looking at, everybody's gonna peel from it, is the physique, you know, the body, how you transform yourself physically. My attitude is, I saw that transformation when it was in Creed 3. Both of us was in Creed 3. See, you're an actor. I'm just playing around like one, you know, and moonlighting every now and then. But exactly. So we wanted to scene together, but we did a scene, but we weren't together, but it was great. But the way you transformed yourself physically, I saw that in Creed 3, obviously before this. Talk about what you've done and what it takes for you to do what you do. I'm told you're getting up 5 a.m. I'm told it's about 6,000 calories a day. Educate us about what the hell's going on with you and what you do to transform, what you've done to transform yourself physically.
Devotion. And I mean, let's talk about, I mean, we're sportsmen, both of us, right? So yeah, it's the grind. You know, I wake up at 4:20 every day. That gives me 40 minutes to get my dogs fed, get my shake in, and get to the gym. I'm in the gym from 5 to 7 every day, me and a couple buddies, and we just hit it. You know, we just hit it. And the eating is important. You know, I eat. You know, now I don't eat as much, but during Magazine Dreams, I was the word on the street is correct. I was taking in about 6,100 calories. You know, and I remembered every single plate of food I ate, because every single bite was and sometimes excruciating. Having to wake up at what? Go to bed at 9:30, go to bed at 10, then wake up again at 1 to take a shake, right? Because you want to take a shake, because you have to build the body up and build the body. And then you're just kind of hurting, your body's just kind of hurting for the first 3 months of it. It was just excruciating, because we're trying to force our bodies to adapt, and so you really have to surround that body, and your mind around those circumstances, right, in order to adapt the body. That's all, muscle building, stretching, flexibility. That's all that is. It's your body adapting to the environment. And so for the time we were shooting that film, the environment was, it was hell, and after a while you begin to get comfortable in that space. You begin to learn that the pain is a sign that, hey, it's working. It's working. And yeah, what, 3 times a day and posing.
Is that the advice? Is that the advice you would give to people, that the pain is a sign that it's working? So when you're feeling pain,
No.
understand you're making progress? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that I'm just checking. I'm just checking.
Well, I'm not saying that, but I think I'm saying that pain is a part of it. You know what I mean? Pain is definitely a part of it, right? The discomfort, to get the body to grow, especially I'll speak right to the bodybuilders, especially for a bodybuilder, like there's a certain amount of mental toughness that is needed, because your body will tell you to stop, and then you realize that, I don't know what it is, but you can go further, and you must go further to achieve your dream. If you want that bicep to pop the way you want it to pop, if you need that, 4% body fat, I think we stepped on the stage at maybe 3, maybe sub 3, that takes work. But, my dream is to be an actor, and these roles, especially for my demographic, well, frankly, our demographic, they don't come around, and so Elijah Bynum and I we were working, hey, you just went to a pose there.
I'm in a little bit of shape. Not your kind of shape, but I'm in a little bit of shape. Let me ask you this, Jonathan. With all that you've been through, and we've already talked about the conviction and what have you, in your mind, what did it cost you?
That highlighted part of the journey or the film, or I guess the same answer is the same, right? I guess, bro, it cost me everything. There had to be some type of death, right, to become the man that I am now and the man that I'm striving to be. That old me, the old way of thinking. I'm nervous because I know my old way of acting. You know what I mean? My process as an actor, even that had to die. So many things had to be put.
Explain that. Explain that for me, please. When you say that old process of acting, even that had to die, what exactly had to die? Be specific.
Yeah, it's a mindset. Like, I was just listening to a podcast, and they were talking about Usain Bolt, right? And how when he runs, he's the fastest man in the world. When he runs, he's a boy and he's playful. He's happy about it. He's still out there to do the thing, but he's playful. And for me, I was so focused, on the work and on achieving my goals as an actor. And, yes, I had a great amount of fun, but I was keeping everything and everybody at bay. We didn't work together. We worked together. We weren't in the same scene when we shot, when we did Creed 3 together. Right. Even that picture where I was working with one of my, now one of my closest friends, the process for me, yes, there's method. Yes, there's training. Yes, there's emotion. Yes, there's personal and past and, and imagination, all those trauma, all those things are there. But just the way of being on set, like I had so much fun, but I wasn't connecting to anybody except for between action and cut.
Is that why you relate so much to this film? Is that why you relate so much to this role in Magazine Dreams? Because that character doesn't really relate. Yeah.
Yeah, this character has a different reason why he can't connect, right? He's dealing with, well, I guess we're both dealing with, trauma, but his has affected him in a way that makes him think and move a little bit differently, right? Glory to God, I don't have that diagnosis, but I do fall into the category, you know, of a severe depression. Yeah, I'm depressive. You know, I'm not claiming that. That's just what it is. You know, but to be able to, yeah, I saw that in Killian. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
only, if you spot it, you got it. You know, and I knew it was in myself. So yes, I felt, oh, I can take on this role because I understand it. But that then led to me understanding it, and then now going like, yeah, but that wasn't good for Killian. And Killian actually metabolizes his trauma throughout the film, and at the end we see how it goes. You know, same thing for me in my life. You know, I'm trying to metabolize the things that I connected to with him, right? He got to get it off in the film, right? I had to do it. I'm having to do it, you know, in real life.
Strange question. It may be a strange question, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway. I mean, I had the pleasure of meeting you for the first time. It was in the immediate aftermath of everything that had happened with your court case, and I met Megan as well. And I've always been a fan of us. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I don't know a black man that ain't a fan of Megan Good. I just don't know. I don't know if he exists. I don't know who the hell he is. I don't know a black man that ain't a fan of Megan Good. Okay, it's just a fact. Okay, so congratulations to you again in your nuptials with her. But I want to ask you this question. I want to be very delicate when I ask this question, in all fairness to you. When I saw you, for obvious reasons, you had looked very depressed. The conviction came down. Within an hour, my day job, you know, because I work for Walt Disney, essentially. It owns ESPN. They had dropped you. You know, I mean, you were looking forward to, you know, being, the Marvel villain, all right, Kang, the Conqueror, for crying out loud, and everything went awry. Did you feel the misery, the depression that you were experiencing, based on everything that was revealed, based on everything that you were going through? Did you feel you deserved it? Question number one. And number two, what did Megan say to you at that moment in time where you were going through those emotions?
Did I feel like I deserved it?
I'm only asking that question because you talked about reflection and looking at yourself
No,
and what you
no,
endured.
brother,
So I'm
brother.
talking about what you was feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, it's us, man. The confusion was definitely there. You know, it doesn't help to compare stats, right? It doesn't help to, like, that'll make you miserable, right? But I got it. You know, I love you, big bro. So I'll keep it a buck. Like, yeah, I was confused. I was, what you saw, what was coming off of me, that sadness, that depression. Yeah, because look, you saying that, and I thought I was trying to hold it the best I could. You know what I mean? And apparently I couldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I saw it, yeah.
so there's that part. So did I feel like I deserved it? I felt like I take what I was given. You know, I don't complain. You know, I don't complain. Yeah, I don't complain, and I take all of that, those feelings and the events that occurred and the actions that were taken, the verdict, I take all of that, the dropping from everything, not just Marvel, but from everything. I take all of that, and I had to metabolize it, you know, and I'm happy that I metabolized it. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be the man I am now, you know, looking at you, talking to you, you know, without that. I also wouldn't be here without, you know, Megan, you know, who said, you know, to answer your question, you know, we were staying in New Jersey at the time, you know, went back home, and I hadn't wept, I hadn't cried. And she just looked at me and she said, "God's in it." And I looked at her and I said, "Yes, he is." But even then, you know, it was a hallelujah from my knees. You know, it wasn't, you know, trying to praise in advance. You know, I couldn't see it, I couldn't understand it. But Megan, she wouldn't let me fall. You know what I mean? She said, "I got you. We got this."
Would you have fallen without her?
Glory to God, I don't have to think about that. But I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I don't know what I would have done. You know, I mean, well, you know, we can talk straight, man. Like, she brought me out of a, she saved my life, man. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean that hyperbole. I mean that in like heartbeat, consciousness, breath, presence. She kept me on this planet. You know what I mean?
Mm.
When it felt like nobody else wanted me here. You know, nobody, bro. Nobody wanted me here. She did. And that was enough for me in that moment. And even after the verdict, bang, bang, she kept me here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you
Sorry, dog.
recently, no. Take your time. Take your time, man.
Yeah.
Take your time. You with a brother talk. You talking to a brother that's rooting for you, my man. You know, I ain't
Yes, sir.
apologizing for that to anybody. You're one of the
Yes, sir.
great ones, and you know, make no mistake about it. And we all make mistakes in the eyes of God. That's just how it goes. Take your time.
Yes, sir.
I want to touch on something that you wanted people, evidently, you wanted people to know about you. You recently uncovered some childhood traumas in therapy, and you revealed that you had been sexually assaulted as a child. How have you worked through that? And when did you start working through that in light of the kind of conversation that we're having right now?
Yeah, it's been a journey. Like I was saying, I was saying to one of your journalistic colleagues um, earlier that it was a process, and I first started with you start with your heart. I started with Megan. You know, I had just come out of a therapy session, and I was just really shook up because my therapist had walked me through this thing called limited beliefs. And
Mm-hmm.
when I say therapist, I got five support systems that, when I say
Okay.
therapy, except for my pastor, I'm talking
Okay.
about that in general, but
Understood.
I had just come out of a personal therapy session, and he walked me through that, and I landed right on it. And I, I immediately went into denial. I'm 35 years old, and I had never touched it. And I called my sister, and, because I was down, I was feeling really activated and really ashamed, like shame on shame on shame. And my sister said to me, I know something happened to you when we were young, and I should have been there, and I wasn't. It's like on the waterfront. You and my big
Yeah.
sister. You should have looked after me. And and when she said that, she said, "I know something happened to you, and that's why you're different." Um, she had never said something like that to me before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, she had never said
Yeah.
something like that to me before, and that just made it real,
Mm-hmm.
and it made it where I couldn't run from it. I couldn't act my way out of it. I couldn't try to lift a weight and try to get it out of my system. She had brought it right to my door, and it's my flesh
Mm-hmm.
and blood saying, yeah, this happened to us. This happened to you, and I was there, and you're not crazy. And then from there, once you kind of peel that back, it became clear that, like, you know, older men in my family, the young ladies, who tried it, um, that wasn't the first go round. The first go around was with, um, a member of my family, not my immediate family.
But
Just
I
to
was
be
getting
clear.
ready to ask you who was it that assaulted you? I mean, that's the question that everybody would want to know, knowing that.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is that it was a family. It was two family members.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, it was two family
And how many
members.
siblings do you have, by the way? How many siblings do you have?
Two, two.
Okay.
I got
Okay.
a
Are you the
sister.
youngest?
I'm the middle.
Okay, you're the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
middle always gets lost. The middle always
yeah.
gets lost. The
You know what
youngest
I
are
mean?
the babies, and the
Yeah,
oldest are
yeah,
like an extension of the parents, the bullies, and
yeah,
all of that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
before I let you go,
Yes,
listen.
brother.
With what you've gone through, there's a lot of people who still got a lot of love for you and want to work with you. Michael
Yeah,
B. Jordan's one of them. He starred with you in
yeah,
Creed. Whoopi Goldberg on The View.
yeah.
Matthew McConaughey, he starred opposite of you in the film White Boy Rick. I mean,
Yes,
when
sir.
you hear about the love that they have for you, the admiration they have for you in terms of how you go about, performing your craft or what have you, especially at this moment in time A, what does it mean to you? And B, what does it mean to you now compared to what it would have meant to you years ago?
Yeah, the guy in the past, he was incapable, you know what I mean, of really feeling love, of really connecting, you know what I mean? Like really connecting. The type of connection and love that I experience now, I've never I said to Megan yesterday, you know, today was the best day of my life. You know what I mean? Like, and by the like, and I've done some really cool quote unquote things, you know, within the career, within my career in the industry that we all share. But I just couldn't accept it. You know what I mean? I just couldn't accept it. And now, you know, Whoopi and Mike and McConaughey and, you know, hell, you know, to hear the support and to hear the love, it means everything. You know, it's a battery in my back, you know, because those individuals know me, you know, and one of the things that, you know, McConaughey said to me is, you know, I believe in you. You know what I mean? They ain't got nothing to do with making movies. You know, Michael B. Jordan is a friend of mine. You know, he's a friend of mine. We may never step on a set again together. I hope
That's
we
a
do.
good brother. That's a good
But
brother.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a damn good brother, and that's a friend of mine.
Yes, he
You
is.
know, and Whoopi fed me. You know what I mean? Fed us at our house. You know, and we talked and we cried, and she gave guidance to me. They don't need nothing from me. They have their own careers. That was everything, right? And to be in a place now where I can actually accept community, you know, it feels like I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but presently I know I'm on the right path. As hard as some of these conversations are, as hard as, you know, exposing things, you know, about my past, you know, things that are known and things that aren't known. Man, I'm just so grateful. You know, I'm just so grateful to them.
Well, what do you mean you don't know what's going to happen in the future? You sitting here talking to me. I'm telling you right now, you one of the best actors in the business. What do you mean you
Thank
don't
you,
know
brother.
what's going to
Thank
happen
you,
in the
brother.
future? I mean, what do you?
Thank you,
I
brother.
mean, what do you think is going? I mean, you sure you don't know?
Well, I got some ideas, you know. I got some ideas, but you know, it's God's plan. I know that my team is pushing like madman, you know, to you know, line everything up, you know, for a few things that could happen this year, and I'm excited about those things, you know. But what it looks like, you know, with where I am now, you know, what it feels like, what the work's gonna be, you know, I'm really excited to see that, you know. So that part I don't know, you know. I leave that to God.
Last question for you. Magazine Dreams. What do you want people walking away feeling about this movie? Not just your performance, but
That's right.
what you want them to walk away, to take away, to apply to their own lives. What would that be?
Open your heart, you know, as hard as it may be sometimes. Open your heart and see the woman and the man next to you, you know, um, and love them. And chiefly, look at the person that stares back at you in the mirror and love that person and give them unconditional love. And sometimes it's going to be tough love where you've got to go in there and lift the weight, you know, for yourself, lift your soul up, you know, and finally, um, help each other, help each other. Even if it's hard, help each other, listen to each other, and let's not throw individuals away. You know, Killian is a man that's been thrown away, and he tries to get himself back, and I can relate to that too. So
Magazine
yeah,
Dreams in theaters March 21st. Everybody be sure to check it out. The one and only Jonathan Majors. All the best to you, my man. I'll see you down the line. You take care of yourself, all right?
see you down the road.
All right. Give my best to Megan. Congratulations yet again. Congratulations.
What's good, brother? You the man. You the man.
And I meant it when I said it, ladies and gentlemen. He is a great actor. He is a great actor. I mean, people talk about the greatness of Denzel Washington, my all-time favorite. Love me some Morgan Freeman. I'm a huge Robert De Niro, Al Pacino fan. Matthew McConaughey is fantastic. Tom Hanks is all world, otherworldly. It's a whole bunch of people that I absolutely love and marvel at in terms of their talent and ability and abilities as actors and actresses. Anne Hathaway, I love her. Meryl Streep, I'm sorry, I love her. Of course, I mean, it's just so many people. Angela Bassett, I mean, the queen, the queen, okay? But this brother, Jonathan Majors, is a special actor that was en route to start. And people were talking about him ultimately being the next Denzel in terms of his cachet because of how much they marveled at his acting ability. And all of it got derailed. Now, to be very, very clear, to reiterate to our audience, he was convicted. He was convicted. 1 count of a misdemeanor, 3rd-degree assault, and 1 count of 2nd-degree harassment of his then ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. There's no getting around that. None of us were there. We weren't eyewitnesses. He was found guilty. Damn it, that means he's guilty, okay? In our court system, that's the way it is. He didn't come on here and say he was innocent, all right? So let's get that out the way first. And then the recent audio tape that a lot of people want to point to, that's where my eyebrow gets raised. Because you see, the guilt has already been established. And so has whatever requisite punishment the courts have handed down. And now that he's trying to resurrect his career, because as he articulated, he had lost everything, The Week the movie is coming out. This audio tape comes out. That a coincidence? Are we at least allowed to say that's a bit peculiar or weird? Are we at least allowed to do that? Again, this is not absolving him from what he was convicted of. He can't be absolved from what he was convicted of. That stays with him for the rest of his life. He openly admits that. Ain't nobody sitting up there trying to give him a pat on the back for something like that. But in our society, once you pay your penance, you're supposed to be allowed to move on. And clearly, it appears someone doesn't want that to happen. And by the way, he's been accused by others, in fairness, because we're gonna keep it 100, we're gonna keep it a buck here, right? But with this ex-girlfriend is where the conviction kicked in. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm just saying the timing of all of this. How can we hear about this at the trial? The timing of all of it. Y'all make of that what you will. I hope this movie is successful. I have not seen it yet. I heard his performance was sensational. And I hope everybody gets to move on and live a happy life. Nobody wants to be defined by their worst mistakes. And I'm not planning on judging him that. Now, I might be in the minority. Other people might be about doing that. Fine. But he is a sensational actor. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in this movie. And I hope that if he is every bit as sensational as I think he is, as others have told me he is, that he will be recognized for that and be allowed to move forward. That's where I'm coming from with it. That's where I'm coming from with it. Coming up, Beef Settled. The Breakfast Club airs their dirty laundry and settles their differences on air. A rarity. Interesting. Gotta talk about it. We'll get into all of that, plus a little bit more right here next on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Don't go away. All right, everybody, listen up. With all the big-time sports action that's happening each and every day, the Stephen A. Smith Show wants to make sure you are taking advantage of it all. That's why we've partnered with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is really easy to use. To make a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats. Choose from any of your favorite players, Luka Doncic, Jimmy Butler, and Zach LaVine, all in the same entry. Then sit back and watch. The list is absolutely endless. You can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Best of all, Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50. Just use promo code SAS and download Prize Picks right now. Again, download the app and use code SAS to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
We supposed to be a team up that bitch. Not one person comes to my defense at all. Like when I'm, like not one mother ever with this online shit. Like, why the should we have to keep playing it? Man, listen, I know one thing. Angela Yee ain't that much crazy. Not as crazy as try to make her out to be. Nah, it's the reason that lady wanted to leave that show. I don't know how she did that shit for 13 years, man. I'm telling you. I don't give a. Y'all already know what's up with me. I feel played with. I'm gonna play with. Like, that's just like, come on. I've been quiet a lot. If Just Hilarious is quiet, it's a mother reason. I always got my mouth open. All the time. Now, how about y'all clear some of this shit up for y'all teammate? That shit is ran like a high school. Yeah. It's ran like a high school. It is. Fair East Side High. Fair East Side High. Before Mr. Clark, though. Like when he first got there. Y'all want a bitch to keep her cool. Look, check this out, y'all. Look, man. I get up every day. Every day. And they always talk about, you ain't at work, you ain't at work. Yeah, bitch, I started picking up more shows. Hell no. That's how I'm getting. Hell no. Hell no. I have more fun outside the studio than I have in there now. Is you crazy?
Good Lord. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show. What you just saw was a post from Just Hilarious yesterday. Just Hilarious of the Breakfast Club, who responded to chatter from critics about her role on the show. The crux of the issue emanated from comedian Corey Holcomb, who said her fill-in, Lauren LaRosa, was a better talent than Jess herself. That promoted the post yesterday for Just Hilarious. Well, today the team got together and discussed the matter live on the show. Okay? Look, I saw the response. We didn't get permission from the Breakfast Club to air it. But I saw the back and forth. And, you know, Jess definitely was making her feelings known. Had the pleasure of meeting Jess before. She's been a guest on this show in studio. And we really enjoyed it. She was fun, smart, the whole bit. And we wish her nothing but the best. Charlamagne and I are pretty cool. I talk to him periodically. The brother's done a phenomenal job with his career, his life, and what he's done with the Breakfast Club and beyond. And he's a voice that we hear a lot, particularly in the African-American community, and quite frankly, we should, because he's an independent thinker, and I'm all for that. I go way back with DJ Envy. Got mad love for him. Always have, always will. And I really, really appreciated what he said to Jess when they were on the Breakfast Club this morning, when he was talking about, hey, you come to us. You know, we could have this conversation. Rather than he used the word corny, that she would go on social media to express herself about the show, her teammates, DJ Envy and Charlamagne the God, evidently, the way that she did. And he somewhat called her out on it. And she was alluding to the perceptions that have been put out there, or not alluding to it, but flat out stating it, and how she felt about it. But he made a point, just respectfully, that needed to be made. That ain't necessarily how you handle it. Critics are going to be critics. Hell, I'm a critic. I get paid to be a critic. It just so happens that I'm an informed one because I've been a journalist for decades. And most of the things that I critique involve a sport that I cover, although not always. I wanted to take this moment to say this to Jess Hilarious. I thought DJ Envy was right with the point that he pointed out about how it should have been handled. But I want to say the bigger point that he was making is he didn't give a damn about what people got to say about him on social media. That's what I want to talk to you about, Jess.
You are a talent. It doesn't matter whether somebody is better or worse. The point is that you're in the game. You're in a seat that most people ain't in. And if it ain't the Breakfast Club, because of your time on the Breakfast Club, you're going to be in another seat and another seat and another seat, because these opportunities don't come everybody's way. There's a select few that are fortunate and lucky and blessed enough to achieve what you've achieved. To react the way that you did provides fodder for those whose sole purpose is to knock you off a pedestal you are clearly on and they are not. I'm not talking about Corey. I'm not talking about anyone specific. I'm just talking about in general. When cats come at you, no matter who they are, because of a platform that you are under, first of all, they're entitled to their opinion. You could have the largest ratings in the world, still not the case that every single body is watching you and every single person is a fan. I've had the #1 sports morning show in America for 13 straight years. Everybody don't like it. Everybody's not watching it. I get critics every day. So does Charlamagne. So does DJ Envy. So does everybody. Everybody got critics. You know why? Because everybody got a voice, and some people are legitimate critics. Other people try to legitimize themselves simply by getting clicks. And if those clicks come courtesy of throwing you down the river, they will not hesitate. And when I saw you say what you said and exhale and get this stuff off your chest the way that you did, all I could find myself thinking was, damn, she's playing right into their hands. And that's not to say that all of us haven't been guilty of that at some point in time or another. I have. So has Charlamagne. So has DJ Envy. Nobody's perfect. But you got to remember that cats are coming to take you down. They want to hurt you. They don't like the perch that you're sitting on. They don't like the success that you're enjoying. They don't like it. Some love it, some don't. But when it comes to your teammates, and this is the hardest part, when it comes to your teammates, I believe Charlamagne and DJ Envy are rooting for you. Your success is their success. Everybody benefits from it. But even in the event, let's just say for the sake of argument that wasn't the case, you still need to support each other as teammates publicly. It ain't over till it's over. Too young to notice in all likelihood, but Red Holtzman, former head coach for the New York Knicks, coach when they won the championship in 1973, used to come up with this line: they your teammates until they not. They your problem until they not. While you on the same squad, you ride together. Come hell or high water. There are rare exceptions to that rule. Because even when the rule is legitimately broken, you still end up looking bad if you go at your teammates while they're your teammates. So that's just a little advice. And the reason I'm giving it is because I'm a fan of Jess Hilarious. I think she's talented. I think she's authentic. I think she's real with what she feels, and I applaud that. It's just that every truth ain't meant to be told at the time it's being told. Sometimes it's a different time that's better than the time you chose. And you just got to remember that. Because here's the truth that nobody echoed to you from the segment that I was watching. It wasn't just DJ Envy speaking in terms of saying it could have been handled better. It's bosses everywhere that will have a hold of that clip and could potentially say, is this how she'll talk about us if we make her unhappy? Will she go public and do that? Sometimes it's disciplining yourself enough
to swallow, like you said you would swallow, you keep your mouth shut, like you said you did. You was quiet and quiet and quiet until you couldn't take anymore. Explode in private next time. See where that gets you. Not saying that you did or didn't, because I don't know. But I suspect you didn't. I'm not talking about speak in private. I said explode in private. Exhale. Let it all out then. Make sure you exhaust every means and measure before you do what you did publicly. That's the only advice I have. Because I want you to succeed. That's the only reason I'm giving it. It's the only reason I'm giving it. I wish you nothing but the best. Wish the Breakfast Club nothing but the best. It's a fantastic show. It's doing us all the justice with the work that they do. I'm a fan of the show. I've been a guest on the show before. Number love for all of y'all. I hope everybody moves past this and better times are ahead. I got to get on out of here, y'all. Until next time, it's Stephen A. signing off. Peace and love. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.